First of all, I would like to say very good morning and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and Friday greeting. Blessed Friday today, and hopefully everything will go as we plan, inshallah. Okay. All right. Now I would like to share the screen. As you know, today's presentation will cover this halal hazard critical control point and also the auditor's development program. As we've been talking since 2 days ago, halal and tayyiban actually it's cover the halal, the sharia point, the Islamic religious requirement, and the tayyiban is more towards science, talk about food safety, hygiene, hazard, both of that. So it's very important for me to present this, which 2 years ago I didn't, present this kind of presentation. It's very straightforward, halal, hazard, and so on. Only that. So let's go through this. All right. The course content, we'll talk the introduction, the history of halal, hazard, definition, and the term use, the basic principle of Islamic, food and beverage, the supply chain is very important from farm to fork, and also the prerequisite of the program. Until at the end, I will talk about the benefit of this program, halal and hazard analysis critical control point. I make it simple. I call it H2AC2P, halal hazard analysis critical control point. H2AC2P. When we talk about hazard, apart from hazard analysis critical control point, I do talk about hazard, the halal application concept in totality, HACIT. These are the term to make you easy to understand and memorize. H2AC2P. Okay. Now, introduction. This halal and hazard analysis we blend together, and we call it H2AC2P. All right. Food safety is an underlying concern. Okay. It's an underlying concern touching every corner of food industry. From manufacturers, distributors, even service providers to the customers, ultimately eating the food. It is a system in which halal food safety is addressed through the analysis and control of biological, chemical, physical hazard. And starting from sourcing of raw material. We're talking about from farm to fork, from fields of origin to the table. Sourcing of raw material of halal and safe food, purchasing of processed food and raw material procurement, handling of raw materials upon receipt, storage of raw materials. Either you store in the dry store or chiller or freezer with a proper specific temperature range. Production and manufacturing, processing, handling, setting, packing, and so on. And final storage, the holding rooms, the holding storage before distribution, before delivery to the customer, and transport for delivery of finished product to the customer, and distribution, consumption of the food product. Transport, delivery, we're talking about logistic. Continue. The hazard analysis critical control points is internationally recognized method of identifying and managing the risk related to food safety, designed to keep the food in question safe from farm to the table. So in order to manage food safety issues, and hazard plan focuses on preventing hazard from occurring during food production and processing. So comprehensive and systematic hazard use science and technology to ensure safe food production, handling, and of course preparation. So in this document, we will provide an overview of how organization can develop and implement an effective hazard plan. We will begin by discussing the history, the origin. For those of you who have attended 2 years ago the training, we talk about it because I noticed that many of the participants also a newcomer, first timer. So I will stress on this to share the information. Alright, now finally we will offer guidance on getting started with your HACCP plan and how to put the plan in action. So a brief history of HACCP. A concept were originally developed by Pillsbury, it's a food company, 60 years ago, in response to NASA need for pathogen-free food, bacteria-free foods for astronauts in space. So HACCP improved upon previous. This is in Pillsbury, USA. Okay, HACCP improved upon previous quality control methods. Before, they do have a quality control method, but with this hazard analysis critical control point, the HACCP program, it was established. So the quality control methods which rely on repeated sampling and uncertain result by establishing critical control point. So the history, 5960, 60 years ago, NASA wanted to produce food for astronaut. How it started? Because they want to provide food for astronaut to guarantee the food safety. And on top of that, 3 years later, in 1963, WHO issued HACCP principle in Codex Alimentarius. This food guideline, the code, or food book, Codex. Now, 10 years later, 1971, the National Conference on Food Protection presented HACCP to the public in early 1970s. 73, NASA, the American Army Laboratory and Pillsbury Group, is a food company, made a common project for astronauts in food production. And in 85 only, USA National Science Academy suggested that HACCP should be applied for food operation for food safety, especially to the astronaut, but also to the public consumer. Right, that's the HACCP history. Now, what about the Halal? Just now we talk about the introduction and the history of HACCP. Alright. Now, Halal. In general, for Muslim and the followers of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Halal actually originated in the mid-15th century, 1,500 years ago, when the Almighty God delivered a revelation, the Quran, or Wahyu in Arabic, Wahyu, revelation to his messenger, Prophet Muhammad. The commandment, as mentioned in the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 168. Yesterday also I mentioned about it. Ya ayuhan nas kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiban wa la tattabi'u khutuwati syaitan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. Alright, now the translation meaning that God command all mankind, eat of what which is halalan tayyiban. Halal, lawful, permitted, and tayyiban, good, wholesome. Whatever of which is halal and tayyiban, permissible, lawful, and good, wholesome. Now, to start with the history, I'm talking about related to our country, Malaysia. Actually, in the world, we actually go all out on halal. We, the one who started, and it's been the knowledge is known to all Muslim countries under OIC. See here again, 50 years ago. The conference of Malaysian ruler, because halal is controlled by the government. Anything related to Islamic is under the king or the rulers of Malaysia to decide. They are the custodian of this Islamic religion based on Quran, Sunnah, Ijma' and Qiyas. Alright, now the conference of the rulers of Malaysia, we have one king. Actually, total is 14 states in Malaysia. We have one king for the federal government for the whole Malaysia, and we also have the sultan for each state, or the governors. So this was developed and progress of Muslim Malaysia. Now in 74, as I said, almost 50 years ago, the Research Center for Islamic Affairs Division under the Prime Minister Office started issue halal certificate. You see, way back almost 50 years ago, we started halal certification, not certificate but letter for product that met the criteria, not in the form of certificates, but it's in the form of letters certifying a certain product that met the criteria or the guidelines. We don't have standard that time. Okay, and then in 85, the religious division, earlier the research center, now the religious division under Prime Minister Office re-promoted to the Islamic Affairs Division. Okay, it's called Bahis. Now they are the one who in charge of issue related to halal. And 10 years later, in 1994, halal confirmation was given in the form of certificate with halal logo. Oh, see here? Almost 30 years ago. Now, in 97, the Department of Islamic Development, now known as JAKIM, Department of Islamic Development Malaysia, JAKIM, was established by the government as taking over power and role of the Bahis is a Islamic Affairs Division. All halal certification activities will be conducted by JAKIM only, authorized by the government at that time in 1997. Even though that time we have around 12 organization halal certification body still running, no law to stop them, but the government have one under the government, under Prime Minister Department. It is called JAKIM. They also doing this halal certification. Of course, they are recognized by the government, their own government-linked organization. Apart from that, we have around 12 organization halal certification body who is also doing the same thing in Malaysia and also overseas. Now, coming about the standard, so Malaysian government has a vision of becoming the global halal hub. And even the Prime Minister that time mentioned that Malaysia going, we call it global and local, in line with the Malaysian standard, 1500 2004. We have this first standard, first edition was introduced as an extension to the existing halal guideline. That time we don't have standard. Before 2004, we only have halal guideline. This is the sample of the books, general guidelines. It's only guidelines, a recommendation how to do it, the halal slaughtering, preparation of halal food or handling of halal food. But in 2004, the first standard, the first edition of the halal standard was introduced. The halal food production, preparation, handling and storage, the general guideline, first revision. And then after 5 years later, the second edition was issued. And 10 years after that, after 2009, in 2019, 2 years ago, 19, it was introduced again, the third revision, been updated with new information or certain research development done, the latest information to share with for the industry players, for the halal industry players and the public. So you see that the logo also change from time to time, and this is the latest logo till now. Okay, definition of terms. Of course, when we talk about halal, there are certain terms will be used. Halal, haram, shubha, the fatwa, najis, and so on. And of course, when you talk about food safety, hazard, the CCPs, the decision tree, when you talk about hazard. Alright, fatwa, halal, of course, matters that are lawful and permitted in Islamic based on the Sharia law. And fatwa, And fatwa is a legal opinion concerning Islamic law issued by the competent Muslim scholars, by the competent authority. Alright, when we talk about najis, matters that are impure and unacceptable according to the Sharia law. You cannot contaminate halal food with najis. And hazard, a danger or risk of biological, chemical and physical agent that is reasonably likely to cause illness or injury in the absence of its control. CCP, meaning critical control point, you are aware about this. OPRP, Operation Prerequisite Program. You know, one of the OPRP, Operation Prerequisite Program in Halal is food safety, hygiene and food safety. If you don't have this, the food can be considered also non-halal, if not safe, or fit or hygiene. So it is one of the prerequisite. Alright, now decision tree. Actually, decision tree will help you. A decision to support tool that uses a tree-like model. I will share you later on, of a sequence of questions to assist you in making decision. As an auditor, there are certain guidelines to help you, to assist you in making decision, and also their possible consequence. It is a tool that helps you decide whether halal or hazard control point is a CCP or prerequisite program. OPRP. Control measure, is a straightforward, meaning any action or activity that can be used to prevent, eliminate or reduce a significant hazard. Control point, any step at which biological, chemical and physical factors can be controlled, and it's called control point. Corrective action, procedure followed when a deviation occurs, when non-compliance or a breach of halal or food safety. You need to immediately corrective action need to be immediately taken. Alright, control to manage the condition of an operation to maintain compliance with established criteria, standard or guideline. Criterion, a principle, standard or yardstick by which something may be judged or decided. Critical point, okay, all these we have mentioned. The critical limit, you see here, critical limit, a maximum or minimum value to which biological, chemical, physical parameters must be controlled at CCP to prevent or eliminate or reduce to an acceptable level of a food safety. Okay, the occurrence of food safety hazard. Deviation, the action or departing from an accepted standard. Failure to meet the critical limit, below standard. And hazard plan, a written document which is based upon the principles of hazard analysis, critical control point, and which delineates the procedures to be followed. So now, I'm open. If you have any question, you can send me a message. Okay. So the basic principle of halal foods and drink, we have mentioned this yesterday and on Wednesday. The concept of halal food includes not only the compliance of the food with the Sharia law, Islamic law, but also the cleanliness, the hygiene, the quality and its suitability in terms of human value, wholesome, nutritious. This is the Tayyiban aspect. For example, if I ask you, do you understand about halalan Tayyiban, for example? Please explain. Halal is and halalan Tayyiban is an Arabic word, no? It's mean that permissible, wholesome, good, quality, and so on. The concept of halal food or halalan Tayyiban, also the same. The answer will be the same. Okay, it includes not only the compliance of food according to the Sharia law, but also to the science, food safety, hygiene, cleanliness, and so on. Halal integrity not only deals with permitted or prohibited foods, but that the halal status of the food product that is from farm to fork, from raw materials, sourcing of raw materials, until it reaches the consumers, should not be breached. This is halal integrity. There is no cross-contamination with non-halal or haram product, ingredients or methods, and no ill intents. So hence, hygiene, sanitation, food safety are prerequisite. I repeat again. Apart from halal, hygiene, cleanliness, sanitation, and food safety are prerequisites in the preparation of halal and safe food. It includes the various aspects of raw materials and ingredients used, personal hygiene, clothing, devices, utensils, machines, processing aids, and the premises for processing, manufacturing, and storage of the food. Now, food supply chain from farm to fork refers to the processes or activities that describe how the food from farm ends up on your dining table. This is the picture, self-explanation. From farm to the table, from farm to the fork. Okay. This also I mentioned earlier, the halal food supply chain from farm to fork, from sourcing of raw material and the farm, and then all through all the process and to end up to the fork or the table consumption to the customer, because it refers to various processes in the halal food chain, from fields of origin, the agricultural production and so on, to the dining table. Okay, prerequisite programs. Actually, there is no set number of halal HACCP prerequisites. The amount will depend on your individual food business, the kind of business, the magnitude of your business, the type, the sectors. Examples include measures to prevent cross-contamination, hygiene procedure, pest control measures and procedures, including, of course, GMP, good manufacturing practice. Also another GMP, good management practice, that address operational condition providing the foundation for the HACCP system. Other example of prerequisite program might include quality assurance, the QA procedures, SOPs, standard operating procedures for sanitation processes, product formulation, the ingredient and so on used, and recipes, glass control measures, glass policy, jewelry policy. These are the measures or procedures for receiving, storage, and of course delivering, logistic, shippings, labeling, and employee food and ingredient handling practices, good hygiene practice, and so on. Some samples. Okay, talking about prerequisite program. You have some they simplify into 7. Some they mention about 12 prerequisite. Okay, this is a sample. Let me explain to you. Here, you see, among the prerequisite program involve the premises or facilities, transportation, equipment, personnel, sanitation, recall, and operational prerequisite program, OPRP. See here. These are the sample about the prerequisite program, depend on the kinds of business in the food sectors. All these things I just explained a bit about this prerequisite program. Okay, this one only the title. Let me show you more details. When you talk about the facilities, of course, the premises. So the properties and the building facilities, the building, the design, the construction, the process flow, in the building, maintenance, lighting, ventilation, and all this have to look into part of the food safety program, including halal. And then the waste management, employees, facilities, washroom, uniform water, stream, steam, ice quality, protection and supply. This is when you talk the prerequisite program related to premises or facilities. And when you talk about prerequisite program on transportation, number 2, transportation. Include purchasing, receiving, storage and delivery. Even though we talk about transportation, but it's related to purchasing, receiving, storage and delivery. So the food trucks, the carriers, talking about logistics, the temperature control of storage area, either perishable, non-perishable, dry store, chill or freeze, frozen items, purchasing, receiving, shipping, delivery to customers. You have to comply on the guidelines or the requirement under the food safety program and also halal. Finished product storage, adequately ventilated area for storage. When you talk about equipment, number 3, talk about equipment. So the design, constructed and installation, non-toxic material, because we're dealing with food. The equipment is non-toxic materials. Equipment maintenance and calibration, the weighing machine and so on, the temperature logging, cold room, freezer, chiller and so on. Preventive equipment maintenance program, maintenance services. Talking about personnel, of course, it involves the human factors. General halal training or food safety training program, including hygiene, technical training, and good manufacturing practice training and on-job training. This will be a prerequisite in order to do halal or food safety business requirement. Now, talking about prevention and pest control, sanitation, equipments and utensil, yes, make sure it's sanitized, clean. Floor, locker rooms, lunch room, washroom, you need to have the cleaning program. Pest control, of course, chemical required for the effectiveness in pest control. Implementation of the pest control program, they need to have a pest control record document, doing daily or weekly and so on. And then among the prerequisite program, a recall plan. Product coding and labeling, identify all product to be recalled, procedures for testing and recall plan, and finished product are correctly and legibly coded. The number 7, the OPRP. Okay, the OPRP, number 7. Allergen control program. Identification of allergens. Also is include food additive and nutrients. Food processing aids, foreign material controls program. Control of allergen. Special handling, segregate special sanitization procedures and properly. Not only related to allergens, because this is when you talk about food safety, hazard and so on, but also the halal control program. Okay, I see there's one question here. Can we put together in a delivery truck the halal and non-halal ingredient or products, even if it is properly segregated? Okay, so let me see. Okay, now very good. Your question is, remember when we talk about halal under the standard, don't forget that whatever you want to do, the storage or transportation in terms of logistic and so on, proper physically separated. You cannot mix up, put one another. First, because of the rules to avoid mistake and cross contamination, and the third one is the sensitivity. Muslim, we don't like to see halal food mixed with non-halal. even though it's in packaging, in boxes, yeah, but you have to separate. Not only to avoid any mistake and cross-contamination, but to avoid any issue of sensitivity. Alright. Now, your question, can we put together? Yes, in one big truck. Yeah, it's even in internationally, when we talk about cargo logistics, the cargo aircraft, they have all kinds of things in the cargo, in the belly of the aircraft. But it's all in a pallet, each and one pallet. It's been packed in a pallet, and you have the container, a big container, covered container is the solid fiberglass container. Inside the container is being covered by a polystyrene or a certain tertiary, packaging material. It's all done properly. Yeah, either frozen item or perishable or non-perishable. It's done properly. Also in this container truck, a big container truck, 12 wheels or 24 wheels truck. Yeah, maybe if Halal is only one pallet, the truck can, accommodate 10 pallets. The rest, maybe they want to transport alcoholic beverage, a can, boxes or cartons of non-halal beverage and so on, for example. Of course, as long as they put separate pallets and so on, properly segregated, it's allowed. Under the standard did mention, and they stress that need to be done proper physical separation, properly segregated. Okay, you can refer to the standard guidelines. But that's the minimum requirement. The preferred level, when we talk about the key halal requirement, the preferred level is dedicated. The container are dedicated for halal. For example, even Malaysia, for example, Brunei, I'm talking about the air freight, the cargo logistic, air cargo. We have a policy. We don't export, import, we don't carry pork, meat and so on. In our business, it's not included because it's sensitivity, and of course, same thing to the Brunei, because I did this logistic program, halal logistic program for them. So that's a company policy or the law of the land. Saudi, they ban any alcoholic beverage or any non-halal, such as pork and so on, to enter the country. That's the law of the land. Depend. Okay. Anyway, this I just want to share you. This is a bonus and additional information. Don't worry, I'm not asking you in the exam, so you can just relax. This is not just for your general information, help you, to understand more and be a professional auditors. Okay, launching of halal hazard system into workplace. Yeah, training, of course, very important to key personnel. Awareness training to all personnel, briefing, team talks, procedure updates, monitoring system, testing to ensure the competency. Failure in implementing halal hazard. If fail to implement the halal hazard program, you know what will happen? The negative outcome. I think that if you have all this, we guarantee the failure, the worst is yet to come. Poor hygiene practice, for example. Because among the prerequisite of halal and hazard, good hygiene practice. I hope you all understand. If poor hygiene practice, because under prerequisite for halal and hazard or food safety, good hygiene practices. Strong management commitment. On Wednesday, I did mention about the halal assurance system. The management need a fully commitment in halal. If not, it cannot implement the program, halal program. Required knowledge and training. But if lack of knowledge, failure. It will be a failure. Poor records, too much paperwork. System sit in the manager's office. Too many critical control points, and you don't know which is which, what is for what. Unreliable critical limits. doesn't make sense, critical limit. Just follow the book. Don't create according to your whims and fancy. Of course, if you implement these halal HACCP program, there are benefits. This one I will share with you. For personal benefit, for the organization, for the country, for the business. Why halal HACCP emerged? Okay, actually it started almost 20 years ago. In Malaysia, we stress on halal HACCP. The food export industries have recognized the demand for food compliant with Islamic dietary law. Okay, 40 years ago we talk about halal, and then it comes guideline, and then followed by the standard and so on, until in the millennium year, in the year early 20s, 2000, we start to introduce HACCP, and many companies have already halal, but they go for the ISOs or the HACCP program. ISO 9001, good management practice and so on, ISO 22000, food safety. They go towards that. That's value added, because demand for food compliant with not only Islamic dietary law, but with this food safety and so on. Alright, now, lack of documented monitoring for health hazard and haram substance led to the withdrawal of certificate. Yeah, if there is any breach, because lack of documented monitoring, lack of documented monitoring, meaning that no monitoring. If you have a document but it's blank, logging document or checklist, meaning that it's a lack of documented in monitoring for health hazard and haram substance will lead to the withdrawal, revoke of the certificate by the authority. The HACCP-based halal quality assurance standards were developed as a result using the HACCP criteria for safety, religious dietary requirement, Islamic dietary law, and also for quality. Anything which are good, science, we're talking about science, apart from the halal, religious matter, we can adapt and adopt in line with the Islamic perspective. Okay, we can accept that, to do that. Islam does not forbid. Okay, halal critical control point, HCP or HCCP, are identified using HACCP criteria. Yeah, halal HACCP. Yeah, now we blend together because it helps as a criteria to identify this, and a question tree, a decision tree on halal processing and storage. Hazard analysis critical control point in relation to halal. Alright, now potential hazard may arise from taking non-halal processing step, from the use or suspected use of haram or non-halal and non-tayyib, unwholesome ingredients in the preparation of halal food. So, HACCP shall be compatible with the religious requirement of the Sharia law. So, it integrates halal standard and HACCP. So, we blend, it's been blended together, integrates, offers a guideline and best practices for halal food manufacturing. So, use for analysis, prevention and monitoring Islamic prohibited items, things which are not halal or haram, and the haram critical control points or haram SCCP, in addition of physical, biological, chemical hazard critical control point in the halal food manufacturing. So, of course, it requires GMP approval, good manufacturing practice. Yeah, the HACCP step and principle, the HACCP principle, actually 7, but under the codex, under WHO, codex step, it's 12. Almost actually it's the same. Some are, it's repetitive, even though the terms, the sentence are different. But I will show you that. 7, this codex principle, HACCP principle. You see, 7 HACCP. Don't confuse. I just show you some different type of version, but it's still the same principle of food service for HACCP program. 7, but sometimes the wording, the words being used or the sentence, you'll see that Some are the same, some are a bit different. You see, for example, I say number 3. Here, establish critical limit. Set critical limit for each critical control point, but it's still the same. To cool down period, thaw, procedures, etc. Conduct this hazard analysis. Conduct hazard analysis related to refrigeration time, chiller temperature, freezer, food storage, dry store, and so on, food handling, etc. Then they talk about hazard analysis to conduct that. So conduct hazard analysis is same. For example, number 7, establish record keeping procedures. Establish document. Here they a bit detailed. Establish record keeping procedure, temperature, loggings, receiving, logging, waste sheet, waste management, disposable, etc. So establish document. So these are almost the same but different in terms of the word they use and the sentence. This is the 7th principle. Okay, now comparison of halal and HACCP. Okay, both employ good management practice. Halal also talk about GMPs and good hygiene. HACCP also the same. Preventive in nature, yes. Healthy of employees, yeah. Halal also stress on this. HACCP also the same, do the same. Based on holistic approach, not stand alone. Control processes, sanitize environment and safe inputs, microbial, chemical and physical contaminants. See, all this same, the concern of halal and HACCP. So these are, we talked yesterday about the hazard, biological, chemical, physical agent that is reasonably likely to cause illness or injury. Bacteria like salmonella and so on, toxin, virus, parasite, chemical, foreign body, biochemical changes, of course, najis. Even though HACCP don't talk about najis, but actually things considered filthy, impurity or unclean, you see, they stress on hygiene. Preventive in nature also is still under HACCP, but we use this najis, the terminology under halal is called najis because it's related to things which are unacceptable to Muslim, like pork product, we can't eat and so on. Now, basic benefit, as I promised to talk about this halal HACCP program, the benefit of the this is very important. Please understand this. Try to digest this. Benefit of halal HACCP. Yeah, the benefit is systematic approach. Preventive systems will be in place. Increase confidence, not only to the company, the organization, and to the staff, but also to the consumer, to the customers. Effective use of resources. You can manage the wastage, cost-efficient, effective control system, help demonstrate due diligence, strengthens quality management system, facilitate regulatory, customer inspection or the law of the land, regulatory requirement. You can facilitate, you help the auditors. So the company who implement all this will help you as an auditor. Make your life easy to do your job, to do inspection, because it's the documented, they have all the procedures, the documents for easy reference. That's why I say make the life, the auditor's life easy, and your job also can go through smoothly. Okay, remember benefit of halal and HACCP. So benefit for industry, these are the one: improve staff management commitment to food safety. Staff have clearer ideas of food safety requirement and practices. Production of safer food, decrease business risk, or the recall of product. These are the benefit of having halal and HACCP program to the company or industry. If anybody have question, then you can send message. Okay. And of course, benefit to the government with this program, halal HACCP program, Improve public health. Now, during the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, the government concerned of, the people to comply with all the SOPs, the good hygiene practice and so on. Wash, clean your hand, wear mask, check temperature, social distancing, good hygiene practice, and so on. Now, facilitate food safety inspection. These are the benefit for the government for having this. If the organization have this halal HACCP program, facilitate food safety inspection by the health authority or the halal inspectors, more efficient and targeted food control. Facilitate international trade, increase confidence of the community in the food supply. Okay, conclusion. Listen. It promotes, contrary to general perception, halal actually is for everybody, Muslim, non-Muslim alike. It promotes the well-being of mankind. That's why God, when talk about halal food, God did mention, "O mankind, eat whatever on earth we bestow upon you on earth, halal and tayyiban," halal and wholesome. So it promotes the well-being of mankind, irrespective of ethnicity, faith, religious, or geographical boundaries. Alright? Okay, these are general. But to Muslim, when we talk about halal, and of course, halal HACCP means halal and tayyiban. To Muslim, it is a prescription from God Almighty, meant for their physical and also spiritual well-being. Okay? What about non-Muslim? For non-Muslim, it means safe, quality, hygiene, wholesome, nutritious food product for their general well-being. And of course, for the industry, the production of halal food is not only beneficial to the Muslims, but also to the non-Muslim food producer, manufacturers, service providers, by means of an increased market acceptance of their product. See, it's a win-win situation. Muslim, non-Muslim, get the benefit. A win-win situation. Okay. The conclusion about HACCP is a system which provides the framework for monitoring the total food system for maximum safety. The system consists of 7 steps. We mentioned about 7 HACCP principle used to monitor food, whether the manufacturing or food service side of the operation. It focuses on identifying and preventing hazard that may render food unsafe, something that is certainly top of mind as food safety receive extra scrutiny in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis. Remember, I said that in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis, food safety is paramount. Of course, HACCP also help food companies compete more effectively in the world market. As a result, the international community widely recognized HACCP as the golden standard for food safety. And if you have halal and HACCP, especially in the Muslim world, you will get the Muslim world community widely recognized. You will deserve the highest commendation for having halal HACCP program. Alright, thank you very much for your attention. Any question? I received one message. Sir, I was eating halal food when I was in Japan. Okay? Now you have many halal restaurants in Japan. Because all foods offered by my favorite cafe are halal. Wow. Good. Congratulations. Not only you, Mr. John Glenn. I have a participant from Australia before. They send the same message like you. This lady, she's a QA manager for a food company. She mentioned that she always eat or purchase halal food or even halal raw materials such as chicken and so on to prepare, because she felt very confident in eating the halal food. Okay, this is only a comment. Alright, is there any question? Okay, thank you for sharing that. It's depend. Even though we have standard, We try actually in Malaysia. In one time we have our own standard. Yeah, Malaysian issue, but we also come out with the global standard. It's recognized under the Organization of Islamic Council, the OIC. 57 Islamic nations agree. We are the one who started in 2006, come up with the global halal standard to be used all over the world. You know, apart from the Malaysian standard, but it is a benchmark Malaysian standard because we developed this for the past 40 years with the guideline, so everybody knows. Even the Saudi Arabia, the Islamic Center, Saudi Arabia. So, yeah. For Philippines, there are certain, of course, it's not mandated by the government or controlled solely by the government. No, they entrust the organization which are registered, licensed by the government. It's like NGOs or institution or company who do that halal certification. So it's a bit different. They will do according to what they like, but it's still in line with their standard in Philippines. We sometimes we can agree and disagree, not to avoid any confusion or debating and so on. Law of the land. There are certain things that we have to understand that. We have to accept that. Yeah, even though I disagree, but I agree to disagree. Yeah, case closed. Okay, thank you for sharing. All right, now okay, good. My sister Zenaida, listen, my good friend, she did share some information. There is the Simic standard we are using in the DOS 12 as reference. Wow, good. Actually, Simic standard, Malaysian also involved in that. It's under OIC. Apart from the International Halal Integrity Alliance, IHIA, who started that, now it's been updated under, it's based in Turkey, Turkey, Istanbul. The Simic, the Standard Meteorological, Islamic Council there, standard. Okay, it's good. She mentioned that DOS 12 use it as reference. Yeah, I was also involved during the drafts. They try to make into this standard. We involved in Malaysia to help them. Nothing wrong with that because they are members under OIC. So the responsibility and the task was hand over from Malaysia to the Istanbul or Turkey to come out with that update version of the Simic standard, and also a world standard. Okay, thank you, Zenaida, for sharing the info. Okay, now it's 10 a.m. Okay, it's 1 hour. If you want to take 5, because I want to change the slide for the auditor's program. Even though the slide I have given you, this is the one I'm talking, and I will be asking you under the open book test only one question of the topic we discussed this morning. 1 hour talk this morning, only one question. It's an open book test, written, no multiple choice. It's only one question, and you need to answer in writing. Only one. Okay. The other part of this handouts or PowerPoint is only for your general information, talking about decision trees, how to develop it, how to understand. It's all to help you. Okay, it's a bonus and a complimentary from us. Actually, only one paper. As I said, originally we have 3 papers, 3 hours talk, but the rest will be value added for your understanding in terms of halal hazard. Okay, again, any question before I give you a take 5? Any question? 1. Any question? 2. Any question? Okay, that's 1. In certifying food industry, Agnes Morales. Okay, in certifying food industries, do they need to be HACCP certified already, or is it acceptable if they only have HCCP manual? Wow, good. This is another good question. As I mentioned, in doing the halal certifying for food industry, food industry to apply for halal, of course they need to comply with the halal standard and guideline. Full stop. There in the halal standard did mention about halal, about food safety, about hygiene. They have to comply and follow that. They need to have the in-house good hygiene practice. For example, food safety program. That's enough. If they do have HACCP certified, HACCP program, certificate. They have the ISO 9001, ISO 22000, ISO 14000, and so on about food safety. About good management practice. That's all I consider is a value added for the organization, and it helps you or the organization, the halal certification body, to do their job. Will be very good. It's excellent to have that. We consider a preferred level, meaning that they above standard. If you have the minimum, the halal guidelines or standard you follow, that you meet the standard. You can apply for halal certification, and you at the end can be certified with your own halal manual, halal control manual, and so on. Okay, and I will send you the link. A lot of my talk are in the YouTube, my personal YouTube. Some you cannot see at this moment because I privacy, but I will open for you all later on. Once finish all that, you can get the extra information and further detail about halal. All right, thank you very much for your attention.